Everybody, with being a video maker and every other people being video makers out there, we live by a mantra, right? Wouldn't you all agree that the mantra is that use discernment, and also that don't take anybody's word for anything. Don't take your word or my word for anything either. And when you see something, it is best to research it for yourself to make sure that the information is correct. Now, this video that I'm making right here is not an attack video whatsoever. My whole thing is that, well, if there's going to be information out there, I want to make sure that you have my investigative viewpoint of this, so that you can make informed discernments for yourself, so you can look at it from every angle. I'm not telling you to discount what these people are saying right here, nor am I telling you to accept what I say. I'm going to show you the evidence, all about facts. I'm going to show you the facts as I find it, and you can go ahead and look at what they're offering, and you can weigh what you feel is most reliable. Now, the difference between myself and a lot of people who are like me and the people that we're going to be talking about is that if you don't agree with what they're pointing out, then you are the one in the wrong. You must accept what they're saying. I am not like that. I am going to present you the evidence, and you can believe wholeheartedly in everything they say. It's not going to matter to me one way or the other, because I'm already of the mind that whatever's coming is going to come, and nothing in this world is going to change that with as much division as there is. So let's get down to it. I have to show you the very first video that this guy here is being talked about, is this right here, Victoria Sharp, Pretty Little Liar. Now, he goes on to state here that he believes that this was CGI, or that there was fake snow, or that there was no bullet shots into the glass whatsoever. And there are a lot of other channels that seem to be not going so much off of this video here, but another video that he made. And, well, I normally wouldn't even bring this up, but as you can see right here, a lot of people didn't take credence into anything that he had to say whatsoever. But I'm not even going to play you the whole thing. I'm just going to show you some of the things that he brings up.
This line, there's no gunshots, coming through, hitting any of these windows, not on any side.
Okay, so now what we want to do is, he says that the snow would have went up to the windshield and it would have been impacted into the front grill of the truck. That's how he knows it was CGI. Okay. Well, one thing he's not taking into account here is that the truck sits a lot higher than other normal vehicles. The truck did not enter the snow at a head-on into a snowdrift. It went into a side angle. It's much difference. And let me give you just an example here, just using this right here that I found. Watch this truck right here. It's getting ready to hit a snowdrift from almost a side angle right here. And when this is a taller vehicle than most, when it hits the snow, it doesn't really enter the snow. It goes on top of it, and it pushes the snow dust up on the top. Watch how it works. See how it pushed the snow? And there's no snow on the windshield. We can't really tell, but as you can see right here, this is all powdered snow, right? But as you can see, it does not appear to be snow on the windshield. You can see that from a very tall vehicle, as we can see right here with the Lavoy Finicum truck, right? Okay. Now, if this is all CGI, then they surely must have CGI'd the snow all over the front of his tire right here. As I stated, his truck is a lot taller than normal vehicles. So when it goes and hits this snow at a side glance, it's not going to impact the front grille. It's going to impact the very lower of the bumper. And as you can see, the snow did impact all over the tires right here, as can be seen. Is he right about there not being any glass broke or any bullets exiting the vehicle, which I've already I've already proven beyond a shadow of a doubt there was an officer behind a truck. You can see the line as it grows dark from an individual standing up and running. So I'm going to make the same effort here to give you guys all of the fairest information that you can make your own discernments and decide what you would like to believe. Don't take my word for anything. Don't take their word for anything. Review it for yourself and make your informed decisions and your own discernments. You'll be able to see right here, if we move this ahead right here, okay, now, according to him, he was talking about there's a puff of smoke over here that is just a gas charge. It's, just to make it look good. But as you can see right here, there are something exiting the windshield right here, leading you to believe that one of these individuals right here was shooting through the passenger window, and it was exiting through the windshield. And you can see the puffs coming out of the windshield itself. Let's see if we can speed it up. See it? There. That's not gas. How is it? I don't get where that's coming from, but hey, he's entitled to believe what he wants. Okay, so you see that right there. Let's move ahead and let's look at the passenger side glass of the car. Okay, my opinion. Okay, let's stop this right here. Now we can see, doesn't look like anything's hit here, and we can't really tell the back passenger window here. But if we were to look that the window was indeed rolled up before they left, and you can see a black hole in shattered glass, in my opinion. That's my opinion. And if we just speed this along, does this look like a black hole right there to you? What say you? Okay. So that looks to me like when we saw bullets, look at this. Look at the line of fire where they're behind these trucks right here. And if they hit entering this passenger window, they would be coming out these where we just saw exit wounds coming out of the windshield, right? And here they are standing behind these vehicles right here. These got to be the ones firing at the truck this direction, my opinion. In the latest updated video right here talking about Lavoy Finicum is alive and planning nuclear Armageddon with Mormons, LDS, FBI, and it's a psyop and patriotic, so on, yada, so forth. And he uses an article right here talking about the book that Lavoy Finicum wrote. And I did, you know what, myself, I was like, wow, that is pretty interesting that he wrote a book about post-apocalyptic event taking place. I had not even known that he had written a book. Believe it or not, I did not even know that he wrote a book until after this shooting happened. We'll leave it as alleged shooting just so everybody can, feel comfortable with the direction this conversation is going. Now, I thought that the book that he wrote had to do with his trials and tribulations with the BLM on his land afterward. I didn't think that there was any need to look into it because I was actually looking at his videos way before he even stepped foot at the refuge, months and months before. And he was talking about the BLM and the federal government overreach and the water rights incidents, all that stuff. And I really didn't feel need to look at what his book was about. But now that I did find this one little passage about the U.S. Supreme Court and about how a president in his last term of office was going to be appointing new appointees, not singular, but plural. So watch, let's take a look at this here. Here is the book's particular information right here. And before I get you this, let me show you one. Let me keep it in order with what the information is being presented in the videos that are making their rounds right now. Member of the Oregon Militia is also the author of a post-apocalyptic novel. Last month, Lavoy Finicum traveled from Arizona to rural Oregon to join the occupation of Federal Wildlife Refuge. And the standoff bears a striking resemblance to scenes from Finicum's authorial debut Only by Blood and Suffering, Regaining Lost Freedom. Now, this was published just a few months ago. The problem that you have with published books is that we don't know exactly how long he was in the process of writing the book. How long did it take for a publisher to review his manuscript or his finished piece? How long did it take for them to make it a book and get it out there on the market? Those are questions that we don't have answers to. I would like to interview some of his family and get to the answers to that, because what I'm looking at is that it appears that he has been writing this soon after Obama's first role in office, 2008, 9, 10, 11. And the reason why I say this is because one of the quotes that are in there happens to be something that Obama said back from 2009, 2008, 2009. It's just my opinion. But so let's keep with everything going on here. Finicum describes the book on his website and as a steering, fast-paced novel about what matters most in the face of devastating end times chaos. Now, here's something for you all that you may not know about the Mormon Church, and I say this because I know that Lavoy Finicum is in the Mormon Church, or was in the Mormon Church, and he was a member of the bishopric, and that's going to come up too in this presentation right here as well. Does everybody know that the Mormon Church is one of the biggest prepping religions there are? When you take a look at Utah and Deseret Industries and some of the warehouses that they have, they're preparing for some kind of devastating nuclear war or some kind of final Armageddon battle or chaotic situation, whatever the case may be. Whatever may come up, they are preparing for it. They can their own foods. They got their own underground shelters. They got all of this stuff. Is it in line with them preparing their very own congregation or their very own church members for something that they may implement themselves? Are they going to devastate the United States with nuclear weapons themselves? Heck, it could very well be. I'm not discounting that whatsoever. Not discounting that at all. That is a possibility. Now, in the videos that are going around, they talk about how Jim Dalrymple from BuzzFeed read the book so we don't have to. Mr. Jim Dalrymple has read the book by Lavoy Finicum, and he is getting ready to go into great detail about what the book is about. So let's take a look at what Mr. Dalrymple, boy, that's a mouthful, isn't it? So he talks about right here, let's take Finicum's book published in August and reviewed this week by BuzzFeed News tells the story of the Bonham family, Utah-based ranchers living in the near future when a nuclear attack, possibly from Russia or China, has precipitated social collapse. The first chapters recount how the Bonhams converge on the family homestead, witnessing murder, rape, cannibalism along the way, while the later portions are about a war between well-armed, well-prepared ranchers and their short-sighted neighbors and government agents. The ranchers, and particularly protagonist Jake Bonham, are the heroes of the story, and they take a stand against, what? Tyranny, and shoot many of those who oppose them. As a work of fiction, it's not necessarily given that everything in the book is a reflection of the author's views. Still, many scenes in the book bear a resemblance to what is going on in Oregon, and the characters repeatedly make comments that could have come out of the standoff. Finicum also suggests a didactic purpose for the novel in the author bio, revealing he wrote the book to show that certain truths are self-evident and that our rights come to us from God and are inalienable. Well, that's exactly what we as Constitution-loving Americans have been saying I don't know why this is some big mystery. I don't know. And some of the sayings that would have came up from the whole Oregon refuge situation would have reflected some of the same verbiage, even perhaps, because that's exactly what he was proclaiming in this work of fiction and his bio. So that's not no big thing to me. But let's go on. One of the book's central themes is gun control, and it heaps criticism on efforts to restrict access to firearms. Heaps criticism on efforts to restrict access to firearms. Now, as I stated, there's one little piece in here that I did find of high interest. And I did say that I do believe this book was written, was in the works and being written by him, maybe 2010, 11, something like that, around the time of the president's first stint in office. Before our previous president had finished his last term in office, gun control was the law of the land, the book states. With the new appointments in the Supreme Court, it had moved hard left. Well, yeah, because Elaine Kagan and Sotomayor, if he was writing the book at the time when these appointments he's talking about, well, it would make perfect sense that that's exactly what he was talking about, because that was around the time that he would have been writing this book. Do we have to look exactly when Elaine Kagan, Sotomayor were actually brought into the Supreme Court? I know that it does seem rather strange that if you put it together with the passing of Antonin Scalia, and that this president right here finished his last term in office previous. Well, it's interesting because I don't think that we're going to have another president after this. That's my opinion. It's my opinion. And if Mr. Finicum was writing this book in President Obama's first term in office, it makes perfect sense with the new appointments. See that? Plural, appointments. And he would be talking about Elaine Kagan and Sotomayor. It's my opinion. Now, as you can see here, that Lavoy Finicum in his book does shed some light on his thoughts through fiction of what he thinks about the Department of Homeland Security. Eventually, in the book, a rogue Department of Homeland Security agent forces people at gunpoint to give up their firearms. When one man resists, an agent shoots him in the head. The heroes of the story to surrender their guns and consequently are able to kill the neighbors and government agents who come to take their supplies by force. The book goes in great detail about the protagonist's arsenal, which includes an array of pistols, AR-15s, and other guns, all of which are pivotal to their triumph. Now, if we listen to my good buddy Richie from Boston right here, and we listen, he has uploaded and add some of his own commentary to the whole, this presentment right here by Tachyon Time Warp, And Mr. Tachyon Time Warp takes you to the BuzzFeed article that we just reviewed. Now, the whole thing is that what Mr. Tachyon Time Warp didn't do is he didn't show you the other article by Jim Dalrymple. And that's the article that we want to see that's going to shed some light on the whole Oregon situation even more.
And it just talks about, so here, you know, this guy, I don't know that much about the Mormons, but you're a bishopric. I don't know how high up that makes him in the church, but, you know, the theory is that it's only the top, you know, few percent that are in on, you know, the real plottings of, you know, the Mormon conspiracy, the White Horse conspiracy.
Well, I'll show you how high a bishop is. A bishop is the highest priesthood office of the Aaronic priesthood in the Latter-day Saint movement. Sorry, but I had a mouthful. I just wanted to show you this. So apparently Lavoy was very, 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 very high up in the Mormon religion. And according to their own people...
Now, okay, he was very, very high, right? Let's stick with this a second, okay? The Latter-day Saint concept of the office differs significantly from the role of bishops in other Christian denominations, being in some respects more analogous to a pastor or parish priest. Right. How many people do you think could say with a certainty that if you were to ask a parish priest, well, hey, this symbol is on your glass, do you know what it means? How many of them do you think would be able to answer in the affirmative? How about if you were to ask congregation members? I bet you if you ask him right here, one of these cardinals or whatever he may be, you ask him what that symbol means behind him, and he would know. But your normal, average, everyday parish priest most likely would not know the answer to that question. Okay? And we go on with all of these right here, all of these all-seeing eye symbols. A normal parish priest and an archdiocese bishop would be completely different. Would they know what the cardinals and the Pope knows? If we look at these religions sort of like Masonic steps or like degrees, not all of them know the exact same information, and some of them are not privy to the information of the higher ups. So now let us answer the question of what exactly is the level of bishopric in the Mormon Church. Here is the hierarchy of the Mormon Church. Okay, 14 million members. And here you have all of the individual members. All of these Walmart employees who don't know that the owners of Walmart are basically working hand in hand with the government to really destroy the American way as we know it, right? Think of them as Walmart employees, your typical Walmart employees. Now, think like this. What would be the next step up above an individual member? Well, let's take a look. Next step up above, the ward bishopric. That's exactly what Lavoy Finicum was. How many wards and how many bishops or in the bishopric are there around the nation? There are 30,000 wards, okay? So that makes 30,000 bishoprics, okay? That is equivalent to a Walmart manager or just a shift manager or a store manager, knowing full well that everything that the owners and the high CEOs of Walmart know what's going on behind closed doors. They don't. They don't. In my opinion, they don't. When you get up here, then you have the stake presidency. There's 3,000 stakes, okay? And you have 3,000 stake presidents. Now, when you start getting up into the higher realms here, the hierarchy, you have the first presidency. Okay? There's 3. Okay? The quorum of the 12 apostles. These guys right here at the very top of the pyramid, when you get below this line right here, this is my opinion only, I'm just sharing with you my opinion, that when you get up into this level, these are the people that know what's really going on. And it may even be just from here, the 7 presidents, or it may even be just the first quorum. But from here, I'm just going to be conservative and say all of this from here to here know what's really going on. Stake presidents? Nope. Ward bishops like Lavoy Finicum? Absolutely not. And just below them, individual members. Absolutely not. It's just my opinion. I'm giving you an opportunity to see the evidence here and you to use your own discernments. I could either leave this story alone, and of course I'm going to be criticized for not covering it, or I could cover it and then I will still receive attacks from the people who want you to believe absolutely what they do, and they don't want to hear any information that goes against what they are trying to tell you is their truth. I'm not saying that what I'm telling you is the truth. I'm not. Just how I find the evidence. It's up to you to make your own decisions on that. You need to understand Mormonism if you want to understand the Oregon standoff. Mormonism has a long, complicated history of conflict with the federal government, and that history is deeply informing the actions of the militia members and ranchers who took over a government building Saturday. Now, this is from the same guy that they just touted his article as being, oh my, it's the holy grail of everything. Now, Ammon, the name Ammon, according to the story, comes from the Book of Mormon. Well, I think it was, the Book of Mormon. It's a curious story, but also an extremely telling one. The Bundys and some of those involved in the Oregon standoff are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Though they don't by a long shot represent the majority of the Utah-based religious members, their conflict is in many ways an outgrowth of their church's history, a new chapter in a story about conflict and persecution. And so to understand what's happening, it's useful to understand Mormonism's complicated, often fraught relationship with the government. Okay, goes on through the whole story. I'm not going to read you everything. I will leave you guys links to all this. I want to just show you the pertinent parts here to go along with what I'm trying to show you. Mormonism also has plenty of scripture requiring adherents to comply with the respective governments, including a passage that explicitly states, we believe in being subject to kings, presidents, rulers, and magistrates, in obeying, honoring, and sustaining the law. The idea of any sort of actual fight against authority is distasteful to the vast majority of Mormons. And in the immediate aftermath of Saturday's events, some even took to social media to call on the church to discipline the people involved in the Oregon standoff. Mr. Dalrymple, or whatever you pronounce his name, now he's going to take you onto a journey about Mormonism and how it differs in Western land use issues. Evans pointed out Sunday that conflicts over land use and resources have been common in the West since it was settled by people of European descent. Mormons have not been immune to those conflicts, and the standoff in Oregon runs through both veins. That just meshes really well with the overall message of "Don't tread on me," Evans said, of historical Mormon tropes. Ammon Bundy's comments are a good example. In a series of emails earlier this year, he regularly cited Mormon scripture while calling people to action. And his video in which he discusses getting involved in the Hammond case closely parallel Joseph Smith's story about founding the Mormon church after praying and studying. So, according to this Mr. Dalrymple, finally, we'll just leave it at this, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints issued a statement saying that the disagreement in Oregon over the use of federal lands is not a church matter. Church leaders strongly condemn the armed seizure of the facility and are deeply troubled by the reports that those who have seized the facility suggest that they are doing so based on scriptural principles. This armed occupation can be in no way be justified on scriptural basis. We are privileged to live in a nation where conflicts with government or private groups can and should be settled using peaceful means according to the laws of the land. Well, that's not the way some of these ranchers see it. A lot of these ranchers out there know each other all over the western states. Mr. Lavoy Finicum made that clear when he was making videos way before this whole refuge situation came about. He discussed knowing about the Bundys and their situation in Nevada and about the other guy who owns much ranching lands up in Utah and other states. So this whole thing is to me, it's ranchers coming to the aid of other ranchers, if you ask me. That's just my opinion. But let's take a look at some of the other things right here that we can see that I'll just leave you with that, and then you can make up your own minds of what to believe. Don't believe me. You can believe them if you want. It doesn't really matter to me. It doesn't. I don't care, because I already know that whatever's going to be coming, there's not even enough of us to be able to stop anything from coming in the first place. So it doesn't really matter. Just putting it out here because, hey, if I leave it alone, then it's going to come back on me and saying, oh, you knew all along and didn't say anything about this. Or just like, watch, just show you what I mean. Just to show you what I mean. See? Here is more to go along to show you the organizational structure of the church and how it's being misconstrued exactly what a bishop is. And they're leading their own selves to believe that it's such a high position in the church, which I've already showed you it is not. It is just up above a congregation member. The congregation member, then the bishop is right here. Tells you right here. Local congregations. The leader of a congregation is called a bishop, the bishopric. His administrative parish is called a ward. ask yourself, how many priests of a parish in a Catholic church actually knows what all that symbolism all over the Vatican really means? Do you believe they do? I'm just telling you. Let me just show you what this one bishop right here said. He's an ex-bishop of the church and an ex-church member, and I'll leave you with this right here so you know exactly what he knew. And before I do that, I wanted to show you that this other thing that's circulating around, which is most interesting, and it is that May Brussels, Mormon uranium, and the one world government back from 8/4/1978. And the whole thing about that story is that allegedly, I have to say allegedly because I don't have any proof that it actually happened, but hey, I'm pretty sure it probably did. That the Mormons, having a lot of uranium right there out of Utah, secretly gave uranium to Israel to become a nuclear force. Was it, in fact, to bring upon Armageddon? Think about this. There are a lot of church cults, and I'm talking about the Sabud cult. I'm talking about the cult of the Church of the Unification Church of Sun Myung Moon. We're talking about the Baha'i Faith. We're talking about a lot of other cults out there. Their whole goal of their organization is to take over the world, whether it be through the United Nations or some other form. Sun Myung Moon had always made it a plan to get into the United Nations and take over the world. Mr. Sabu from the Sabud cult. Hold on 1 second here. He made great strides. Well, I shouldn't say great because they weren't no good for us, but he made strides to get Zavari Tachi, I think his name is, into a leader position, not the main leader, but of UNICEF, of the United Nations. And one of the questions that was posed to Mr. Sabud, what is the whole purpose of the Sabud cult? And basically, he said it with his own words. It has to do with the United Nations. And, well, we find ourselves in some very, very crazy times with a lot of cult-like religions trying to take over the world one way or the other. And the Mormon Church, in my opinion, the higher-ups, I think all the peons down there are nothing more than just your average, everyday Walmart employees who don't know jack crap. You got your, just like a bishop, the store manager doesn't know jack crap about what is going on. They just take orders to do whatever they're doing, run the store, run your congregation, do your thing. Now, yes, a lot of them are preparing for war. A lot of them are preparing underground fortresses in Utah. They're preparing a lot of things there. They've been doing that just in case if war were ever break out. Do you think that the church of the higher ups, do you think that they tell them that they are going to be facilitating that Armageddon? Well, let me tell you something here. All you have to do, the apocalypse is nothing new. All you have to do is take a look at the apocalyptic murals that are right there in Johns Hopkins. Right there. Is the Mormons put this up? Did the Mormons put this up? The destruction of New York? All these different factions that are running around the globe all have their whole idea of about how Armageddon is going to come about. The Mormon Church, yes, I believe that there are higher-ups that may very well be in the plans of bringing about an Armageddon so that they somehow can rule the world. I would not put it past them. I do not doubt it. But it is a far stretch for me to believe that a little pissant peon bishop in a church is going to be involved in some plot when the ranchers right there are trying to raise a family. They are trying to subsist in a world where you have a government that is trying to take away everything that in life that they've known. And the court system is not their friend. We see that with other ranchers that have had their stuff taken from them. This guy right here goes right along with what I was saying. He's an ex-Mormon. He says, my story involves the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, known as the Mormons. Before I continue, please understand that I have no hate or disdain towards anyone who is a member of the Mormon Church. However, I do have certain amount of bitterness towards those who are in leadership positions, mainly those who claim to be special witnesses of Christ. Well, that just so happens to be your very high up leaders up in your quorum of 12 and your the 12 apostle, the quorum of 70. That's who he's talking about, the special witnesses of Christ. He's not talking about bishops. He's not talking about, hold on here. I'll leave you the article if you choose to look through it and look exactly what he had to say. And he says exactly, there's a lot of stuff that was crazy. Just look through all of it right here and you will see it if you want to stop it. Finally, here is this is the ex-bishop and ex-Mormon of the Mormon Church, and look what he had to say. NSA spying files on Americans will become accessible to Mormon leaders, and that is scary. Leaders, we're talking about the elders, the quorum, and we're talking about the apostle levels. And he goes on to state right here. At the time, I have written about that subject in my recent published memoirs, Under the Mormon Tree. At the time, 1966, I was a member of a Mormon ward bishopric and was astounded to learn that a device designed as a B-shaped lapel pin would be given out to certain elders of the church in order to eavesdrop on unsuspecting individuals or groups for the purpose of building up the kingdom. Later, the system was used against me, and I was able to see firsthand what the device looked like, that it is also detailed in Under the Mormon Tree. Technically, it is known as a microwave cavity resonator. The ultimate purpose was to build dossiers on potential enemies against whom the Council of the 50 could move to neutralize, all of the purpose establishing the real kingdom of God on earth. Well, that's exactly, you see that term, real kingdom of God on earth? One of the interesting things about their belief system of the temple is that there is a star called Kolob, and a planet near that star is where God supposedly resides. Well, that's what one of their teachings. And it's interesting because it seems like that is coming right out of Sumerian tablet type lore. And what we're seeing now going on right before us is that there is some kind of Illuminati talk about the dawn of the golden age, and where maybe God is going to be, well, their God as they see it, is going to be coming back to earth to reside with mankind once again. Just like the god Pan did, according to the Greek of, Arcadia. Just like Zep Tepi with the Egyptians, they made the same claim. And just like Kronos in the whole Greek storyline, that he was the God of the last golden age. Now, he doesn't go and say right here, the kingdom of the golden age of God on earth, but something tells me that they are all in league with each other, knowing that something is about ready to make its reappearance onto this earth. And it does not shock me to believe or that's even a possibility. I would most assuredly believe that, because knowing that Joseph Smith and Brigham Young were one of the major players in the Masonic lodges back in the founding of the church. And a lot of the secret stuff that I know now. Think about this, folks. Think about this. All of the stuff that I know now, I did not know back when I was in the church. I didn't know anything about Freemasonry. Try asking anybody. Go ask somebody. Yeah, hey, do you know what Freemasons believe in? No, I don't. We do. We could sit here and converse with each other about these very things. But at that time, you got church members. Go ask the Mormon Church if they know anything about the Freemasons. No, I never been to one of their meetings. Do you expect them to say, well, yeah, we use some of our Freemasons symbols and blah 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 right here in the temple? They're either they don't know it or they're not going to tell it to you. I did not know it, and I know for a fact I didn't know it. You could take my word for it or don't. I really don't care. But I didn't know it, and they didn't come out and tell me that it was Freemason related whatsoever. So if they didn't tell me, I can assure you that they're not telling the bishops, and they're not telling the normal congregation members anything about any of that. So I'll leave you with all of the links right here, and you guys can you can follow whatever you choose to believe. It doesn't matter to me. But it would be remiss of me if I didn't at least show you some of the other aspects to this whole thing right here. And you have an opportunity to see the information from a whole nother angle, right? It's just, that's what we're supposed to be doing, is sharing some of the things that we find with others, no matter where it leads us. Oh, before I leave off, I want to say this. I did this video with the utmost respect for everybody in their point of view. If it is brought to me in the comment section as attacks, then it's only going to show that you want people to believe absolutely what you do, and you don't want them to hear other information that could possibly answer the questions that you believe in. Does that make sense to you? So that's all I got to leave you guys with that.